Welcome back to the channel. So following on from a recent build of mine a few months ago, finished it off last year, of the P40F in 1/32 scale from Trumpeter, I've decided to follow up that one with the new release, which is the N. Now this is a little bit more appropriate, I would say, as far as what I'm concerned. I mean, the F was a little bit of a sidestep for me. I just like the idea of it being a big P40, but didn't really know a lot about the F. And then when we looked into it, there was quite a few problems with the F, and I didn't realise that was when they brought in the longer fuselage. So there was a lot of confusion between the markings. This one, I've already looked at it all, and I'm happy to report it's a lot simpler. Hardly any problems with this one. Looks pretty good, to be honest, straight out of the box. There's a few things that are carrying over from the F release, which just need taking care of, but pretty much this looks very good straight out of the box. So let's have a look and see what we've got. So starting off with the wings, just as we had with the F version, we've got full rivet detail all the way across here and very nice recessed panel lines. It being a Trumpeter kit, there are a few strange decisions, one being the ammunition boxes here for the wing cannons. I don't know why they've decided to do it like this. You've got a piece that fits in there, which, let's be honest, the fit is a little bit tough. It does go in there, but you know, you really need to force it in, flatten it down, glue it in, and then just run a bit of like water-based putty is ideal for it, just to fill a few of the odd gaps, but it does get there. Of course, there is an Edward set that does the full wing bay section, so you get the cannons and all the ammunition boxes, but I mean, personally I would have preferred to not have that there, and then you could cut it out if you wanted to. But overall, everything looks pretty good. We've got some internal detail here just from where we're going to have etched metal parts for the actual flaps that open, but that's about it really. Again, very nice details right the way across this one. And this sprue caters for a few of the other parts. So we've got the nose cone, the horizontal stabilizers, the actual sections for the flaps, so they open like that. And you've got etched metal internal parts, and you've got a little bit of bracing there as well, just on the one side, and then the other side is relatively smooth. We've got the cockpit floor as well, and that's where we start to get to one of the biggest errors in this kit, that the cockpit is not accurate. It's got a flat floor. However, unlike most P40s that have an actual flat floor, because the cockpit's meant to be curved with the bottom of the wing, or the top of the wing, sorry, it doesn't actually mean that the cockpit is shrunk. It just means the floor is flat. Now, for most people that should be good enough, and for me, I don't notice it at all. Straight out of the box, if you were going to close the canopy, you're not going to really worry too much about it. If you are going to open it, then out of the box the cockpit is lacking quite a bit in detail. I've bought a couple extras in for this build, which I'll show you shortly in another video, and I feel that they're just enough just to give it a bit of improvement in the right areas. But as we're looking here again, we've got recessed rivets and panel lines all across here, and you've got the separate parts that make up the wheel wells as well. So these they have side walls that make up this, so it gives the depth. We've got a two-piece rudder, and everything else is pretty much conventional. So as you can see, it's looking pretty good. We do, I think, I need to just check, but I think this is the join for the nose cone. It gives you an unnatural seam, and it's around the propeller, the actual propellers. So what I did last time was actually glued it all together with the propeller in there, and then sanded the seam around. I think this time I actually cut the propeller blades off from the hub, glue the hub in there, pre-drill the holes for the propeller blades, and then when it's all clean, push them in at the end. And I think that's probably a better way to go about it. So this is the first new sprue from what I can tell. I think the last two we just looked at were actually in the release for the F. And this is the fuselage parts for the N and the internal parts as well. So you've got some different wheel hubs, and this part here, because it's got a very different very different canopy and cockpit section to any of the other P40s. Again, the detail is really great all across here. Very, very nice surface detail. Let's see if we can zoom in and see a bit of that. There we go. I don't know how well that's picking up there, but we've got rivets all the way across here. Just struggling a little bit, I'll be honest. See if we get a bit of light out the way. There we go. So there you can see we've got rivets running horizontally all the way down here, and we've got them vertically as well. So very nice stuff. And there is the instrument panel as well. So everything looks really great across that one. Nice to see. And we've got the longer fuselage here. My understanding of the N is there wasn't any major differences between any of the production batches as there was in the F, so nothing to worry about there. And this seems to be another generic P40 sprue from what I can tell. So we've got a drop tank there, a rear bulkhead that we're not going to use because we've got one on the sprue for the fuselage of the N. Here's the propeller hub, as I mentioned, with the blades attached. Cockpit sidewalls. There's the chair there, which has got two side pieces that make that up as well. These are the covers for the ammunition stowage, as I said. There you can just see where the ejection pin, where the sprue gates join, which is a bit of a nasty way to go about that, being on the flat surface. Very strange choice to leave that off like that. I don't know what they're thinking really, but anyway, that's what you've got. And where it's got this sort of serrated edge, it makes for a very, very difficult join. Unless you're someone like Tamiya who can pull that off. Unfortunately, Trumpeter don't. That does not fit quite like how you'd want it to, but it's easy enough to get there in the end. We've got the gun sight as well, which for some reason is left unfinished. That's all you get. There's quite a bit more to the gun sight, and I don't know why they stopped there because it doesn't look anything like that. It's got parts that come right up the side like this, so all a bit odd, but none of it is terminal. It's just some unusual choices really from the manufacturer, but it's easy enough to get there. And as I was saying, I think I'll be cutting these blades off at the hub join there and then drilling and making sure it all fits before I actually glue the nose cone together and then try and get rid of that seam. And then we've got the last two sprues here, which have got the elevators and tail wheel covers, and we've got a whole load of stuff here which caters for exhaust. So we've got two types of exhaust, which makes me think we're going to get the whole range. I think I've seen they're already looking to release an E this year, and you've got this design of exhaust, and you've also got this design, so you can actually glue this in. It tells you to glue all of these individual exhaust pipes here onto there and then glue it into the fuselage, but you can actually just glue this section in, leave them off until the end, and they're still fit in easily. There's no problem. I did that with the F. These are exactly the same, so that's good to see. We've got a bomb there and a few other small parts. Again, good detail there, hollowed out exhaust even here, but where you're going to join those, we don't use them in this this kit, but if you were to get those pushed together, you're going to get quite the join and seam between each one, so that would be something to look out for in future releases. But so far it's all looking pretty good. There's quite an extensive photo etch set in this one, and you get seat belts here, which are two parts, and then you've got so they're the lap belts and these are the shoulder harnesses. Then all of this caters for the detail in the flaps, which is slightly complex, but it's doable, it's no problem. And then we've got some grills there as well, which is for the front of the air intake. It's quite stiff and thick etched metal, this, so it's particularly difficult on the belts, I found in the last one. This is a generic fret here. This is dated 2016, interestingly, so must have been in development for a while. So we've got a few more small sprues here, and this just caters for the main feature on the P40, which is that large air intake on the chin on the front of the aircraft. And we've got open and closed flaps there for the rear of that. And then this is the long section as well, which is makes for the N version. And we've also got vinyl tyres included in this one as well, which are a little bit of a pain because they've got quite a tricky seam, which is quite hard to get rid of. I just used some very rough sanding sticks and it managed to get rid of those. And they did work for the most part, they were okay. So that's those parts. Then we've got the clear parts here, and one thing Trumpeter do, and Hobby Boss for that matter, do manage to get right is the packaging, especially on their clear parts. Now on the F there was a few comments made about the canopy, certainly the windscreen, the cross section looking a bit odd. I mean, I didn't really notice it, and I imagine this is going to be very much the same. So it's this section here, it's on that view, which it can look a bit odd, but it's okay to me. It looks all right. And then this is the new section here, which has got the very large canopy, which is quite unique to the N, to be honest. So it's got a very open, clear canopy. Usually you've got those side windows, which is notable on the Kitty Hawks and the Tomahawks. This being a late Warhawk, That's how they went for that, for the rear canopy section. So let's have a look at the marking options, and there's one thing that P40s are known for, and that's that shark mouth. It lends itself really well to it. Now this is where the F version really went wrong, because most of the schemes were actually not correct for the version that you got in the kit. These all look very good to me. Again, the same old thing. Why do Trumpeter and Hobby Boss keep giving us marking options that are obviously been well researched, and there's absolutely no information on it? So ridiculous. Anyway, so you have to do your own research as to what each marking scheme is. So we got this first one, which is obviously a US one, in olive drab and neutral grey on the underside. 376. We've got the blue stars on one on the top of the wing, one on the lower wing, and then on the fuselage sides, with a red and nose propeller, nose cone, and the recognisable shark's mouth there on the front. Then the second option is quite an interesting one, with the large skull head on the front there. So this is 62 with a black 131 underneath. I have no idea what these squadrons are for at all. So if you know, let me know in the comments below. We've got a red nose cone on this one, and again olive drab and neutral grey on the underside. This one here for me is the pick of the schemes. So this is one of the Chinese aircraft. Now I think I'm right in saying that this isn't actually one of the Flying Tigers. This is one of the Chinese Air Force ones, and it's a Chinese pilot as well that flew this one, and very colourful scheme there. So you've got the Chinese markings, roundels on the top and bottom of the wings and on the fuselage sides. We've got the 13, white 13 on each side, and then 663 on the fin there. Again, we've got a shark's mouth there on the front, and some Chinese writing on the top of the nose. And then we've got a Russian scheme as well, which again is a very nice nice addition. Something very different. Very good choices on these schemes, I think. And again, that's a lovely option with the red star, very different, and you've got red stars on the undersides, not on the top sides, and on the fuselage halves. That then leads us nicely onto the decals, so let's get these open and have a look. I didn't actually use the Trumpeter decals on the F when I was making it. I was using aftermarket decals. So let's see what we got here. Again, very nice packaging. So looking across those, really colourful, nicely printed. There's a little bit of like a residue on them, but I'm sure that goes away once they're actually applied. So the Chinese stars, a very nice blue there actually. It's like a turquoisey blue. I think that captures that quite right. And the rudder there as well, with different shark's mouths. So you've got two types there, and then you've got the skull as well. Everything looks really good. The white is a nice colour, nice strong colour, sorry. I think you've got two different choices for the Chinese markings there on the nose, so whether it was yellow or red. Quite large blocks of carrier film there, so I would suggest cutting that down. It's quite good around the roundels and the stars, and even the shark's mouth. But when you get to things like the Chinese markings, one big square there, so might be worth trying to cut that down a little bit. And then finally we just have a quick flick through the instructions. So things start with the cockpit, as you can see here, with the flat floor as I was mentioning, but we've got a full scale seat there, so I don't think you're getting that squashing problem, and the sidewalls look pretty good as well. Then we run on into getting the propeller hub, nose cone sorry, and the propeller all sorted, as well as parts for the air intake. Then quite quickly the fuselage halves come together, and this is where it says about putting on the exhaust, but you can just glue that plate in and join these on right at the end, which I would suggest doing, but you do have to get the tail wheel section in. Then we're starting to get the parts for the wheel wells on, and they glue in on the top. Again, it's all a perfect fit. It's very much exactly like we were doing for the F. Getting the canopy on at this stage, I would probably suggest not doing that unless you're going to close it up. Then parts for the wings go on, and here it starts getting a little bit complex, where you're going to do the flaps, have them open. Might try them closed on this version. I opened them up on the F. It was a little bit of a headache, to be honest. And then the wing comes together with the fuselage, undercarriage going on here as well. It's very strong undercarriage on this. Then you've got these sections as well, which complete the front of the wing there. Undercarriage doors going on. And then you've got some choices here for the opening of the flaps. So this is where you use the PE if you're going to open it. and you've also got the choice of a drop tank there. And then if you're going to close it, these are the sections that go on as well. Then we get the tailplane all together, rudder on, and the model is complete. So that is the Trumpeter P40N Warhawk in 1/32 scale. I think overall it's a really nice kit. It's a good choice. Lends itself to quite a lot of options actually. The N it was quite a well-worn aircraft in the Pacific Theatre, or that side, if it was even in the Chinese theatre as well. Nice marking options as well, and I think overall it looks pretty well detailed, and I can't see any major flaws like we did in the F. So again, if you see anything and you want to let me know in the comments below your thoughts. If you know anything about the actual marking schemes, it'd be good to see those listed out down there as well. Stay tuned to the channel if you want to see this one built. It will be coming up over the next couple of months, so I'll get it all built and then release it. We won't get any problems like we had with the F, where I kind of got a bit stuck somewhere in the middle. So this one will be fully built when it goes up. We'll play those videos out as they go. So as always, thanks for watching. If you've liked what you've seen, please consider giving the video a like. If you want to stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.